again, everyone, and welcome to the East County Prep Football Report for week number 2. Dave Dickens with Ramon Scott. Dave, week 1 is in the books in the East County and all of prep football, and we'll talk about last week's games and preview this week's games, including one here in just about an hour or so from when we did this recording of this show, and hopefully got some live audience out there as well. One game tonight, including the El Cajon Valley Braves going into action against Hilltop. I think they told me this one might be on Thursday, so I will talk about that one before it starts. But a pretty exciting weekend of action, Dave. What are your favorite takeaways from opening night or opening weekend in the East County?
But you're mentioning El Cajon and that they're going to start soon. As I was looking at the scoreboards, even though I was traveling pretty far northwest, I noticed that El Cajon was keeping up, and I was thinking they might pull off a upset, but unfortunately, El Cajon did end up losing that one. But they're rebuilding, and I think they look good for who they have on the field. What do you think?
I thought that was a pretty good effort by El Cajon. I really thought, they're going to be in these games early on. This is a very competitive non-league schedule, but it still was a little bit disappointing because it was a winnable game, I felt like, last week. So I'd like to see them come away with one of these games for sure, especially when they're at home on a couple of these games like they were last week. So they got another chance again, apparently, at home tonight. And hopefully the Braves will get these wins in this losing streak right here. They've got 4 more non-league games before they get to the league schedule. We know it's going to be tough enough when they get to league. So hopefully they'll be able to grab a couple of these non-league wins. I thought it was a good step last week, but they still finished on the short end of the scoreboard last week.
And Hilltop, I think they're not the typical team they were years ago. It seems like it was only yesterday that Hilltop was playing Granite Hills for a CIF spot years ago, and they were actually playing at Southwestern College. But it seems like they've dwindled down a bit and should be a winnable game for El Cajon if they put something together. But let's go to the winners of last week, and I'm going to say, and you'll probably agree, Granite Hills was expected to win. They did play. I think I don't want to take anything away from Granite, but let's just say Oceanside wasn't exactly the Pirates of the past. But I also think that Granite Hills pretty much has owned a lot of these teams as of late, at least in the last 3 or 4 years. And it starts with Zach, of course, behind center. I mean, protecting the ball. He was making some great throws. He had a pretty decent running game behind him, and that offensive line was leaving him all kinds of time and making holes for his runners. And the defense, let's just face it, Kellen's got a great defensive squad year in, year out, and there's no stopping the Eagles right now.
It doesn't seem like it, and we have them ranked a little bit higher than everybody else. Maybe we're a little biased because we've seen this team just continue to smash right now, all comers. I mean, you're putting in front of them, top 10 teams. And look, Oceanside did score 29 points in that game, but it felt like that was kind of after the game was pretty much decided, as the Eagles won 45-29. So most of the polls have them ranked 4th right now, Dave. That's okay. I mean, you got Lincoln, you've got, Cathedral Catholic up there kind of ahead of them as well. If you're going by those, the polls, if you will. Like I said, Granite Hills is mostly 4th right now in the polls. So, we have them a little bit higher. And look, we've been watching this team kind of go about their business, winning each and every week, and they're still playing this tough schedule. And quite frankly, they're passing the test each and every week. So, right now we'll just sit there with them at second here. It just feels like to me, heading into this week's action. But look, it was a great performance last week again from Granite Hills. So why wouldn't they be able to pass with flying colors this week? We'll talk about that one. But it was a big game last week for Zach Benitez. You mentioned it. 456 yards, 4 touchdowns, 38 of 45. See, Granite Hills led 31-7 at halftime, Dave. And Noah Walker, you said, what kind of impact would Walker have? He scored a touchdown on the first play of the game, pretty much, on an 80-yard pass. It was just a short pass. And he was able to get that show him. He left the game with an injury, but he did tell the media after the game that he'd be all right. Maybe it was just a turned ankle in that one. So still had some other big performances. You had touchdown receptions from DJ Wilkins, Emilio Vera, Tristan Diaz as well. Zidane Smith had a big night too. He's the gentleman behind me here. Got the picture treatment tonight. So we'll see. Walker left the game after just a couple of receptions, but he should be fine. Also, the running game was fine with Uriah Schutza with a couple of short rushing touchdowns. And how about Rocket Demery? He looks like the guy I was saying, tell me about Rocket. Well, Rocket let me know with that 38-yard touchdown reception. So Oceanside was able to answer, but it was already done, it felt like to me.
Yeah, and there was also Coach Kellen Cobbs also said to mention that Davion Williams also had a pretty good night on the ground as well. So what I think was happening is, they got up so big. I think he was kind of putting his second, maybe even third string guys in there just to see what he has once they were up so big. And I think on both sides of the ball. So we can definitely tell that one guy goes down, there's going to be somebody right there to replace him. They got the speed on offense. I just think they're clicking on all cylinders, and we'll get into their opponent, Mater Dei, next. But how about Christian also earlier last Thursday, so a week ago? I watched the first half of that and it looked like hankies. It was just going to be a hankies night. They threw so much laundry on the field. Penalty after penalty on both sides, and they were both right at the 5 or the 2 or the 1, and they just couldn't put it in. And that goes for both the Patriots and their opponent. But they did finally get in, and they led 7-0 going into the half. But then they just exploded and pretty much took care of business. I think Christian is going to be, watch out for them in this league now too, and they could probably win it.
Wow, that would be amazing if they were able to move up to this division and win it. But they proved their might with that win. Yeah, it might have taken them a slow start, but they beat Rancho Mirage 42-14, made the 125-mile trip to come home with a victory. It looked easy on the scoreboard when it was all said and done. 42-14 on the road. They broke through in the second quarter. Kirschhofer had a 11-yard touchdown run that gave him an 11-0 lead. And then late in the second quarter, Runkle to Roman Gustin for a 9-yard touchdown pass with 10 seconds remaining before halftime. And then Christian opened the second half with a lot of pressure there. Then Runkle found Rozier for a 34-yard touchdown pass to make it 21-0. Moments later, Julian Moronis had a touchdown run. That was after, I think, Rancho Mirage had finally scored, but Christian was on their way pretty much at that point to the victory. Early in the fourth quarter, Kirschhofer added his second touchdown run of the night from 9 yards out to make it 35-6. So pretty impressive there for Christian early on to get that win for Coach Bug, and won it 42-14 in that one, Dave. The other touchdown was late as Rozier had an 80-yard touchdown reception from Runkle. So Christian opened up there. I couldn't quite move them into the into the top 25 just yet. I know they're in your top 25, Dave, for sure. But right now, I just have them a little bit behind these teams right now, probably in my top 40 teams or so at this point. But I'm not forgetting about Christian, no way. But they have a real tough test this week. We'll talk about it.
How about the our Orange Nation that we got to meet a little early at the hotel and had a nice little chat a week ago, and they were going bowling as a matter of fact later, but it looks like the Orange Nation started off exactly how they had told us they were going to, and Mr. Newman, I mean, he rushed for 118 yards, 2 touchdowns last week, and a nice road win going up to San Jacinto Valley, and we'll talk about them facing Mira Mesa later. But how about the Orange Nation going out and just getting it done?
Yeah, great job by Valhalla for sure. Yeah, they were knocking that. We told them, hey, they're not going to go bowling with the bumpers, are they? And they didn't need the bumpers in the win over the Wolves. How about 51-27 for Valhalla? Now, okay, I understand the San Jacinto Valley Academy probably stepped down from the Norsemen here right now, but Newman, you mentioned it, a couple of touchdown runs. He also had 2 touchdown passes. Sophomore Ahmed Husseini, we talked about him. He had a couple of touchdowns for Valhalla. And Jaime Pimentel had a 49-yard touchdown reception. Paul Sacco, a 22-yard touchdown reception as well. So the defense also came up big. You know, Brody Chartel was on with us. Also, Adrian Rojo Hernandez had 5 tackles and a sack. And Giacomo Lupo, he was tough too. He was in there with 5 tackles. He was on with us as well. So, no, great start to the season for Valhalla, and let's see if they can keep it going. It's going to be a little tougher this week, I got to be honest, Dave.
Well, I mean, we talked about them. If they can get a couple of wins out of the non-league games to start, I think that's going to promote them going into those league games, and then it could definitely probably propel them above some of those teams that they face. So I think that's Coach Cherry's idea, and he really rallied the troops. So they haven't put up that many points in quite a while.
Yeah, and I don't want to say, because right now in the Grossmont Valley League, I have Grossmont as the number 1 team. I might be the only one with Grossmont number 1 in the Valley, but we keep talking about the contenders of the Valley with West Hills, obviously, with Santana, with Monta Vista, of course, super impressive. But why couldn't we consider Valhalla? I mean, 51 points in there. And if they can come up with a decent game this week, we already know they're going to be improved. I mean, look what Coach Cherry's done. He's gone from 1 win to 3 wins to 4 wins. So why not go a little bit higher? And maybe all they got to do is knock a couple of these teams off in the Valley League, and they're going to be a contender.
Yeah, and then, speaking of some teams that in last week, and that's how I heard it anyway, that Grossmont wasn't going to be as prolific as they were last year, but that was definitely incorrect, because Grossmont, they went out there and they had a nice ball game on both sides of the ball. Colton Burke getting in there, getting the strip and the scoop and score. And as I recall, I said, Colton, are you going to get a scoop and score? And he answered my question, and he did it himself. Well, he didn't do it himself because Ryder was in there on the sack, and both of them together landed that scoop and score. And speaking of Ryder, boy, he had it's not official, but he was telling me 4 to 4.5 sacks. But I know he was in there at least 3 times, and he was in there often, and they weren't picking him up.
Totally impressive from Grossman. Yeah, I'm not sure. You got to take coaches at their word, right? If the coach tells you that, hey, we're down this year, we don't have a lot of, I mean, we know the eye test, but we also had question marks with Grossman, obviously graduating their record-setting, passer there from last year. So you got to believe Coach Lawrence when he says they're down. I think he lied, Dave. I don't know what else. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, here's a team that gave up 77 points last year to Patrick Henry, and then they gave up 14. I think I said it was a 70-point reversal, but I think they gave up 14. That's still, I don't care. I don't care if it was a 77 or a 69 point or a 67 point, whatever it was. That is a total reversal, and that to me signals that Grossmont has put something together special. Does Coach not know he's been moved to the Grossmont Valley League this year? I'm not downplaying the Valley League. It's going to be a very, very exciting race in the Valley League, but the Hills Team League going into the Valley League team, they gave up 77 last year in the opener of this team. They gave up 14. To me, that sounds like dramatic. Now, maybe Patrick Henry isn't quite what we've seen with that offense. We'll see. I mean, they've had kind of a real high scoring offense. Maybe they're down. Maybe Grossmont isn't all that right now. Maybe the pressure's on to continue to improve, to continue to impress right now. Because, like I said, got to take them at their word. If Coach doesn't think they're going to be, is that what he said, Dave?
He just said it wasn't going to be the same type of team and all that explosiveness. Okay. So, okay. To me, that was okay. And we're going to the Valley. Maybe that was one of the reasons we did graduate and we swapped with El Cap. But from what I saw, I mean, I know he's not Tommy. Okay, Tyler Holmes is definitely not Tommy, and he's not going to be chucking it. I mean, and we saw that, and I asked that before to some of the players. Ryder might have been one of them, and also Colton Burke, asking him if they would be running their quarterback, or if he was going to remain in the pocket or stepping up in the pocket. And 143 rushing yards, that tells me he's going to be running. He's going to be running it quite a bit. And I don't know, maybe he doesn't have that arm that Tommy had, but either way, I think this offense is going to score a lot of points. But like you said, it also could be that Patrick Henry was down this season. But I know that last year they were one heck of a team. So it remains to be seen, and we'll talk about that shortly, Ramon, as we talk about them in Westview, and we'll see what goes on there. Sure. And then I think that was, and then Helix, or no, it was Monte Vista. They, you know what? I think they just have something special there. Year in, year out. I mean, you retire the coach, and then you still got Culver in there, and we saw a few more passes than we normally would. And he said to me that he was going to pretty much run it very similar to the way that Coach Hamamoto ran the squad, which he did for the most part. But I'll tell you what, Derek was throwing that rock, and he had some pretty beautiful passes in that game.
Yeah, he threw an 11-yard touchdown to our guy Rashawn Florence. We had on the preseason preview show to get them a lead. Then they did a little fake on the PAT to take an 8-0 lead. Running back Dion Hunter had a 20-yard scoring run. It was 14-0. And then the defense came through with a critical goal line stand late in the first half against the Colts. You know, the Colts have had a great program for the last several years, if not longer, here as they've kind of rejuvenated their football fortunes with great coaching over there. But, man, in the second half, Monte Vista's defense continued to dominate pretty much. But the story of the game might have been, no, the game was a little bit out of reach, but still, Monte Vista sophomore defensive back, Deshaun Jenkins, had 2 pick sixes in the game for the Monarchs. A very notable result there. Deshaun's returns came through big time there in that one for the Monarchs and kind of set the tone there for the crushing there of Crawford. So we'll see. Maybe Crawford's down a little bit, but no, it feels like right now. I mean, like I said, I said Grossman. I'm putting them number one, but the rankings, Dave, would kind of have. It looks like right now, kind of Santana, number one. I'm talking about the Max Preps rankings, but right behind, right next to them, are the others of West Hills, Monta Vista, and Grossmont. They're all kind of lumped together in the current Max Preps official rankings. But right now, I'm gonna put Grossmont on top, and I'm gonna put Monta Vista second, I think, followed by Santana and West Hills. We'll look at it week to week before the league season starts, but. Since I don't know who's going to win, I just got to keep ranking them here each week and see which team I think in the Valley League is going to come out on top. So I feel like Grossmont and Monta Vista might be the game to decide the championship, but I don't want to not include the Sultans and the Wolfpack here. Just want to see a little bit more, especially from West Hills.
How many? Is that almost a decade now that the Monarchs have been in the mix? I think it has been. I know since 2017, you and I joined forces here. They've been in the mix ever since. So I mean, even longer. I don't know what it is, but there's something special there.
No, in fact, Dave, I don't want to rain on your parade a little bit. In 2021 and 2022, they did go 1-19, losing 12 straight league games in that span to the Valley League. So that was a little bit tough, and that was coming out of the pandemic, and that was uncharacteristic of Hamamoto teams. They eventually righted the ship a little bit in 2023, but they still only went 3-8. They finished 2-2 in league and did lose their first playoff game, but then they came back big time last year, of course, with the CIF championship, obviously winning a state playoff game over Pasadena before losing that regional game there to end the season and finish 10-6. But a historic season nonetheless, and I think that's where it feels like they're just as good right now, and so that's got to be a little bit. I think if you look now, my prediction is just based on maybe what I perceive as to be Grossmont coming from the Valley League. I think you honestly look at it, you might have to put Monta Vista number one.
Well, here's the thing. It's always been said, defense wins championships, and if that is the case in that league, I will tell you right now, watch out for that Monta Vista defense, and look who's coaching and who the head coach is. I think he's one of the better defensive coaches in the league.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, and Dave, did you catch this week? Did you see that former Monta Vista star Sebastian Valdez? Well, he made the practice squad of the 49ers. Man, I really thought he'd have a chance to make the team. They've been talking about him a little bit, been talking him up. I don't think he's done yet. Of course he's not. He's on the practice squad. He's got a very important job right now, but I have a feeling he's going to make his way on that NFL field here this season.
You know, you were telling me that, and speaking of that, I want to check with some of the old Monarchs, and I caught up with Logan Schmidt, and he was telling me, hey, you got to get our buddy Valdez, since he's making the 49ers, you got to get him on the show. I did try to get a hold of him. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Logan on there either, but he used to be one of our regulars, as you recall.
That's the teams that won. They won those back-to-back championships. Remember that? I mean, that was those are the years you're talking about too. Remember, they went through their perfect 4-0 seasons, I think, before the pandemic year.
Yeah, and that's, I think everybody remembers just having the big boy and the big running touchdowns. But I think the defense got buried a little bit. And, boy, that Logan wasn't a big fella, but he was one heck of a player. That guy played on fire. And I'm going to share with everybody what he said and who his pick is. And he has Monta Vista, quote-unquote, kicking some A this week. And he said Coach Culver is his guy, and I know he's going to have a tough hit first, ask questions later type of program this year. And that is from Logan Schmidt to you, Coach, if you're watching. So Monte Vista, they're gonna be, especially that defense, they're gonna be someone to be reckoned with.
Awesome. Oh, that's great to hear from them. And yeah, those were the days, certainly. But hey, you know what? Feels like Monte Vista football. Look, that was a hiccup there. And look, remember the problem was kind of out of the, remember what Coach said, Coach Ham, at least out of the pandemic, right? The numbers are always a little bit thin, and they were really thin in those 2 seasons, it felt like. I think that was the issue for Monte Vista when they hit kind of rock bottom. But you're not missing a beat here with Coach Culver. It's not like they, ended up bringing Coach Culver, back to, he's been there the whole time, right? It really, this is missing a beat. It's just maybe the organization of Hamamoto. Like I said, I don't know. Coach Culver's kind of been the man there, and he win with Coach Ham. I think everybody can agree with that, and they were a great team. I think is what the way I'd look at it.
Well, and it starts. I think it even starts with even higher than that. The athletic director and the way Monte Vista's couple of girls basketball championships, playoffs. I think that says a lot too about Anessa Carroll and how she really cares for the athletics at Monte Vista High School.
Year in and year out, this program continues to do it. It feels like no matter what the sport. Yeah, that's for sure.
And then some of our disappointments, unfortunately for El Capitan, putting up a goose egg. I sure didn't see that coming. I don't know about you.
And they'll have their work cut out for them this week when we talk about it. But playing Mira Mesa, could have been just, hey, they've got some defense there. But yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. El Capitan had just 143 yards of total offense, but it was 3-0 at the end of 3 quarters. So don't sleep on the defense. I mean, that's for sure. The El Cap defense did their job in that game. They just couldn't find the end zone against Mira Mesa, which, maybe Mira Mesa, we know that they're kind of a top 20 team here right now. They're definitely ranked above El Capitan, and that game was on the road. So I think that's the way I'd look at it. I'm not going to panic if you're El Capitan right now, and they'll have plenty of opponents that they can beat. It's going to be tough when they get to the Hills League schedule, no doubt about it. But right now with Mira Mesa, I have them just ranked ahead there of El Capitan. I don't have Mira Mesa in the top 25 yet, but I'd probably put them about number 20, about number maybe 33 as where I have them, and I have El Capitan number 38.
Well, they got their work cut out for them, but I think just need to clean some things up on the offensive side of the ball. But I think Sean McDade, year in, year out, I think that defense is pretty much right where they're supposed to be. Get that offense tweaked just a smidge, and I think that they'll win quite a few ball games. But you know what we haven't talked about yet? How about your Highlanders?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give them a passing grade for the opener in the loss. Maybe I'm a little bit lenient here, but I actually thought El Camino might win by more than just 7 points, and that's what it was in the end. As the Highlanders, I thought put up a good fight, falling 28-21. The Wildcats got off to a pretty good start. Gavin Wasserman had a pretty big game for El Camino. Had a 2-yard touchdown run. He passed the ball well. But for me, I think the takeaway, Dave, was the fact that Lee Norman Lester had such a productive game offensively. Helix, if anything, last year, right, they had the injuries certainly, and they didn't really get the passing game going. Remember, they basically had a baseball player playing quarterback there for much of the season. But for Lester to have over 200 yards passing, he connected with Jordan Lindley, his running back, and he had a 7-yard touchdown there. They actually closed the gap to 14-7, although they trailed 21-7 at halftime. Also, Lamarquise Sutton had a 2-yard touchdown reception, and Lindley added a 67-yarder for Helix. Despite the late rally, Helix turned the ball over on downs inside their own 5-yard line on their last-ditch drive and couldn't get it going there in the end. But I would think that I'm going to give them a passing grade first because El Camino, I have them ranked number 9, and I think a couple polls might even have them up at 8 or 7. And I have Helix now at number 15. That's getting pretty low. I think a lot of the other polls have them a little bit higher, more towards the 9, 10, 11 range. But I still need to see, maybe I'm just a tougher critic on the Highlanders. That might be unfair. But again, they're coming off of one of their a rough season, right? Something a Highlander-like season. So they need to get a win. That'd have been great if they got that win. I'd probably be all going the other way. I'd be talking about
you probably have them at number 7 or something like that. But
I might actually, if they would have beaten El Camino on the road, yeah, I would have had it probably at least in the top 10 for sure. But so they'll be fine. They're not going to beat. I don't think they're going to beat the Eagles yet. I'd like to see them at least be able to stay up because with Mount Miguel, because in my heart of hearts and in my poll, I have Mount Miguel clearly ahead of Helix here right now. And I don't know if ever can I say this on a high school. I don't know if everybody's come to terms yet with Mount Miguel passing up Helix there. Hey, PJ's in the chat. He says a great job by the Monarchs and their athletic program over there. PJ does such a great job for us and did get some great photos this week. Also want to shout out Vic Morano doing a great job for us. We got these great Eagles pictures of Zidane, and we had just great pictures actually this week. So thanks to all of our crew out there. And hey, if you want to be a part of our crew, we'll send you out there. We'll send you out there to the field and get some big part of the team. If you think you're a aspiring reporter, wish I could be out there. But watching the games, like I said, I actually can do it a little bit better watching all the cameras. Man, I whined a little bit to you, Dave, about the cameras, and they weren't all great last week, but the technological improvements in just 1 year on some of the cams. I saw games where the little yardage thing was actually was I seeing things that looked like the actual first, they had it programmed in a computer where the first down markers were even working, and maybe I didn't know what I was looking at, but it surely, and it had a replay, and I'm pretty sure these cameras are automated. I don't think there's anybody producing it. I just think it knows if it's a good play. They had the replay on there. That was cool.
Yeah, that I will be able to see that this week. Unfortunately, I missed the first week. Took a little trip a little further north and got to go see a great band play, and as I told you, Creed. Anyway, I think that's I don't know. I give Helix more than a pass. I think I give them a better grade, and especially at the quarterback position, because really they had so many injuries at the position. They probably could have done a lot better even last year. They probably could have won 7-8 games. It's just if he continues the way he is right now, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, and we can get this running game going. I think that Helix has got a tall order, though, coming up that we'll discuss here shortly. And then how about Steel Canyon, too, last week?
Oh, man. How about it, man? Dave, the season wasn't going to start if Nico Yara didn't return the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Why not? He's already been one of our biggest stars over the last couple of years. It's just kind of hard to highlight the Cougars since they don't really work with the media very well, or at least with us. They're not, they just don't like us or what. But, they opened that new press box. I guess nobody to sit in it because, again, they just aren't fond of the press. It feels like maybe the administrators sit in there and the public address announcer. But great job by Nico Hara, one of the most explosive playmakers in the county. Returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Why wouldn't he? He also had a 28-yard touchdown reception here. So Yara becomes, to me, I don't know. I'm kind of worried about. I'm not worried. I'm happy with Steel Canyon for sure. Maybe they're going to keep it going. Maybe they'll actually be a little bit more improved from last season. So Ramona did answer a little bit there early. Final score was a hard-fought 23-13 victory. but it was a great job by Steel Canyon in that game to get it done. Gavin Kaha threw a key scoring pass, kept drives alive, did a great job as well for Steel Canyon to get off to a 1-0 start by beating a good Ramona team. Right now, Dave, I have Steel Canyon pretty much entrenched in my top 40 teams here right now. That I have number 27, and I have Ramona at number 30. So it shows you right there, where these teams stand currently. There, I actually might have Ramona a little bit lower. I might have made a mistake on them, but still, it was an impressive win for sure for Steel Canyon to beat Ramona.
Well, in Steel Canyon, and I think we're about ready to get into these now. They have a familiar foe, and they play them. They've been playing them a lot as of late, and they did play them last year, and that's number 12 ranked Madison, as you have them ranked, and I believe last year actually Madison came to Spring Valley and played Steel Canyon last year, and it was the winner of the turnover battle, and it ended up being Madison. A lot of turnovers though, both ways in that game. So this one I think could end up the same. Could be a real close nail biter, barn burner, whatever you want to call it. But I think they're going to Madison. They're going on the road. And what I saw from last week, I think I'm going to still say Madison is going to win this one. As it's going to be the winner of the turnover battle. But I say Madison has it, and they're going to win 17-14.
Okay, let's get to the picks then. Why don't we? It sounds like you're ready to go. We've been talking a half an hour. We could probably talk another 30 minutes on some of these games. So I do want to get your predictions of all these games. So let's go ahead and get into it so I don't keep you waiting here. Braves tonight playing at home against Hilltop here, Dave. Look, for the Braves, like I said, these are games that they can win, Dave, but they've just got to get over the hump somehow. I just don't know how else to maybe explain it with this team right now. They're playing teams that they should win. Maybe they're a little bit behind them in the rankings right now. So just want to see what you think, Dave, here with Hilltop taking on El Cajon Valley. This one actually is going to be going off here in about 40 minutes from when we did the recording of this show. So what do you think here, Dave? I want to give the Braves a chance, but Hilltop, they're definitely, a team that we're pretty familiar with. We've seen them take on our teams right over the years. So what do you think, Dave? Could the Braves win this one?
Well, I'm hoping for it, and I'm hoping I want to make that real quick too, but forgot to bring it up last week, and that I met one of Ramon's often interviews from I believe it was a 2002 Braves. Mr. Kelly, receiver for the Braves, and I think the headline you had for him was 22 Warriors, and I got the pleasure of riding on the plane from Minneapolis into Wisconsin, or rather into San Diego, and he really had some great things to say about East County sports, and he was letting his family know, and how long he knew you, and he knew my dad. It was really a real pleasant individual, and just talking about how great that team was, even though there was, and then beating Granite Hills that year with almost no players at all. And I reread that and forwarded it to him for you. But that's just a little short story for you. But it was nice to know that how appreciative he was of us, and that was back in 2002. And great team he was explaining to me. But this one tonight, I think this is almost a must-win for the Braves. They got to win at least 2 or 3 of these games if they're to compete in that valley. And I think this is the most winnable this evening. And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to actually say that the Braves win by 3.
Great. I hope they do. The Braves will lean on running back Janvier Kahindi. and he had 102 yards last week. Janvier Kahindi, 102 yards in that game. I think Hilltop may have a little bit more experience and depth here. I'm going to take the Lancers to win this one, but man, I think the Braves can win it. And you're right. I don't want to say the Braves. Look, almost everybody makes the playoffs. That's part of the big controversy right now in in San Diego high school football. Most of the team, about 80 to 85% of the teams will make a playoff tournament. And that's what we want to do. We want to have little football tournaments at the end of the year, no matter what anybody says. But if the Braves don't win a non-league game and they, go, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say they're going to go winless because they're going to win some of these games. So all they got to do is win a couple of these games and they'll make the playoffs. Look, the Hills League is going to be tough, right? If they can win one of those games, that'll be huge. If they can beat Valhalla or one of the 4 other teams that we mentioned, that'll be big. So maybe they can do it. I'm going to take Hilltop though here. I want to take the Braves for sure, but you know what? It might be the same exact score as last week, actually. Something close to there, 24-17, 27-17. That's where I'm going to go. Okay, go Braves, though, please. Let's win this one tonight. I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to watch it here tonight. A little entertainment on Thursday night while watching these college games here tonight. I just saw Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. They're at the Nebraska game in Arrowhead Stadium, probably in her box, watching the game. So
yeah, but I bet you no one's happier than the newest Packer trade for how many million?
Yeah, for sure. The big news in the NFL, for sure, with that trade, the Packers trade getting Parsons from the Cowboys. Yeah. Well, they had to trade 2 first-round draft picks for him, actually. Okay.
Boy, that's a heck of a pickup, though.
Okay, let me go to this one, Dave. This is the marquee matchup of the week. You've got number 6, La Costa Canyon, coming in here up against number 7, Mount Miguel. And you know what? If you look at the rankings of maybe the Union Tribune, they might see a little bit different rankings here right now for these 2 teams. Still should be an awesome game here between top 10 teams. Now, here's what I view as a controversy, if I can, is the San Diego section is using, because of the they've had a little falling out with a man who makes his own set of ratings that were being used, but they're not using him. They've gone back to Max Preps. Well, unfortunately, Max Preps, whatever their ranking system is or their algorithm that decides what your little rating is, they've got Mount Miguel rated all the way down to 17th. That's a problem, because I thought maybe if there was an error, they could fix that this week, and then that Mount Miguel would probably be up there in the top, 10 teams where they probably belong. But no, Max Prep still has them ranked. And now all of a sudden, if Mount Miguel somehow slips up and loses a game, which if they lose a game, they're going to be losing it to a very good team because they play one of the toughest schedules in the county right now. They knew. But Max Preps only has them ranked 16th. One loss is, say it is to a team like La Costa Canyon, and say La Costa Canyon goes on to have an incredible, there could be a top 4 team, and Mount Miguel is going to play other top teams later. So is Mount Miguel all of a sudden chasing uphill because they're ranked 16th in the official rankings? Remind everybody, they finished in the top 10 last year, had a great season. They're one of the best teams. Yes, they lost their quarterback, but they seem to have replaced him pretty well with Jeremiah Loper. And they've got another guy, too, that can play quarterback. So Mount Miguel, though, they remain undefeated in the power rankings, of course, and they're 1-0. That's all that matters, Dave. So I've got them right now at number 7, and they look pretty outstanding last week. In their season opening win for sure. So they're going to take on La Costa Canyon here, a very established, a great program here right now, one of the best teams in the county for sure. They might even be higher than number 6 in some of the polls here currently. So Mount Miguel was a great win last week, but again, I think it exposes a flaw right now, and I don't think they can just go in and fix things in the middle of the season. I don't think you can go in there and tweak the ratings. I think that's unfair for everybody. So we'll see. But right now, the Max Preps has them at number 16, and they have La Costa Canyon here at number 5. I've got this one much, much closer there. But anyways, Mount Miguel won last week, Dave, 28-27 over previous number 7 ranked San Marcos in one of the games of the week. It was 21-21 there when the Matadors broke through with an 81-yard drive as Loper had a 10-yard touchdown run with just over 5 minutes left, and Mount Miguel won the game 28-27 over San Marcos on the road as they stopped great quarterback Crete Makahele as Trey Jefferson had a diving interception with 2:17 to play there, and the Knights even had one last chance, but the Mount Miguel Matadors stopped them on the final drive there, or they scored on a drive, but they couldn't get an onside kick. It was recovered by Delonte Williams, another highly recruited player we talked to. So great job by Mount Miguel. They've got some other top players too. Freshman Tamarian Williams scored a 61-yard touchdown pass in the game. Just a great performance there by Mount Miguel to get it done. Loper had 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jaden Hunter, 81 yards on 20 carries. But this is a tough La Costa Canyon team, a very, very good top 5 caliber team.
Yeah, I mean, and like the forecaster already said, I mean, they're bringing all kinds of athletes. And I mean, when's the last time that La Costa Canyon was a bad program anyway? I can't even think of a time where they were winning 2 games or anything to that effect. And we all know too that there's a certain publication that's always favored and love that North County a little more than our lowly East County. But I gotta say something. I think that this Mount McGill team and how they're doing their rankings, like you said, I think that they need to check themselves, because I think this team from Spring Valley is right behind Granite Hills, and I think that they are deservingly so. And I think if they win this game, that is going to pretty much confirm that they should be more like it. Then it'll be more like a top 5 team. Now, am I saying they're better than the Eagles? That remains to be seen when they play later this season. But I'm going to actually take, they are at home, so I am going to take the Matadors, and I'm going to take them 30-28.
All right. A big win there from Dave. He's got the Matadors to win by 10. I want to take the Matadors too, but I'm going to try to feed them a little fodder here, and I'm going to take La Costa Canyon by 1 point in this one, 28-27. The computer ratings do have La Costa Canyon comfortably winning this game. I'll mention the ratings that are not being used anymore, and a lot of people have complained about it. In fact, you got to pay money just to look at these ratings now. I'm limited. I pay $15 a month, and I'm limited to looking only 5 pages per day. I actually have a planned out map on my kitchen. I wrote it down, which pages I want to look at on which day, because this guy, Ned Freeman, I was critical of this system last year, and some of the more influential people in the San Diego high school football said I was wrong in my comments criticizing the Cal Preps ratings, now known as the HS ratings. They've all flipped. They all are on, they don't even know who I am. I'm just saying they were all kind of backing this system last year, and I did too. But I think this guy's overstepped his bounds. The Max Preps ratings aren't any solution, that's for sure. But I don't know what they can do to figure it out. They just don't know what I don't know what they can do. So, anyways, I'm going to take La Costa Canyon here. The Cal Preps rating, or the HS ratings, high school ratings, have them at I believe they said 38, 31 or something like that. And I think the Massey ratings have La Costa Canyon, and they kind of go off the other rating, 42-14 La Costa Canyon. Those are the ones that coach uses to fire up his team. But I don't know if those guys could be fooled. We heard one of the Matadors tell us that, I don't know if it was in coach's speech, but, that we were expected to lose that last game. They were talking about the San Marcos game by, few touchdowns, and that wasn't the case. But as long as coach has them buying in, I mean, I'm all for it for sure. You got to motivate them, and hopefully they get this win here tomorrow. Big game, top 10 teams for sure this week, La Costa Canyon and Mount Miguel. All right, Dave's on the Matadors. I'm going to take the Mavericks, but I'm rooting for the Matadors. You know that. All right, Dave, your Eagles here. I have them ranked number 2. Most of the polls have them ranked 4th, pretty much. They're taking on Mater Dei Catholic. Now, Mater Dei looks like they have definitely dropped down a notch or two from those great team. When Coach Batoffi was was an top assistant there with Mater Dei when they were, becoming one of the powers of the county. They've slipped a notch or two here, but we've seen our teams play them. We're pretty familiar with Mater Dei Catholic. Now they're going to come in here and play the Eagles, and the Eagles shouldn't have much of a problem. But you still got to give the Crusaders credit as a top 20 team here.
Well, and I think that we definitely want Noah Walker to be healthy for this particular game. Hopefully that's all healed up. But I don't think, even with Noah Walker down, that's not the whole team. Not saying he's not the top talent at that position, but Coach Cobbs has got many weapons, whether it be on the ground, whether it be, his quarterback is really learning how to pick his poison, whatever the defense gives him. That's what he's really become a prolific passer, if you will. He's not turning the ball over. And I think he's much smarter with the ball now. And I think with the running game and that defense, I think that they're going to be all over Mater Dei's offense. And we could very well see a couple of picks, maybe a scoop and score. And I'm going to say right now, and not just because they're my Eagles, but I'm going to say 32-7, my Eagles, easy.
I'm going to agree with you, Dave, that it will be a comfortable victory. The Max Preps ratings actually have Mater Dei ranked 8th, and the other rating, I have them lower than most for sure. Even the other rankings have Mater Dei. I wouldn't say considerably higher on this, but like I said, Max Preps has them currently in the top 10. So this would be a nice victory right now. Max Preps has them ranked 8th, and they have the Eagles 4th. But Mater Dei lost their opener last week. So, look, it was a tough game last week for them. They played Cathedral Catholic. Cathedral Catholic could easily be the number 1 team in the county if it wasn't for Lincoln here right now. They beat Mater Dei 52-7. So Cathedral Catholic is back to being Cathedral Catholic. If they ever weren't Cathedral Catholic over the last year or two, they weren't far off. Maybe they were retooling a little bit. We know they've been there anyways. So I'll take Granite Hills here. I think they'll double them up. Maybe maybe same thing as last week. Granite Hills goes out and beats them handily in the early stages. And then, you want to get some other kids in there, some experience. They're not going to blow a big lead. So get them in there, and maybe the other team scores. I'll say 42-21 or so, right around in there. Double them up. Maybe Mater Dei gets another one on the end, 42-28 or something like that. But I don't think it's going to be much of a problem here. Also, Eagles have had some good kickers. We pressed them a little bit. I don't think they talked up a new kicker.
No.
Jacob Nunez. They were concerned, but he had a field goal, 6 for 6 on his PATs. So I'll take the Eagles for sure in this one against the Crusaders. Okay, sorry about that. Hey, let's go to my Highlander. Let's try to talk. I'm glad you're talking up my Highlanders, and I'm going to try to talk them up too. But this Castile team, they've been a program that's kind of been growing. I don't know if you remember, there was a game back, and I said, when we had Helix, I said, oh man, Castile, they're going to play Castile. And I went back and I covered that game I mentioned. Castile came in here, I believe it was in 2017 or 18, and they played Monte Vista. Yes. That Monte Vista team was pretty good. And they won the game. Castile won it in overtime in an overtime touchdown. So I think you can make a little comparison there that Castile, they beat Monte Vista. Monte Vista was not the caliber of Helix back then, or, maybe in the years past. Back then, Monte Vista was a little bit down, and Helix was still riding high near the top every year, just like they kind of still are here. So Castile has improved even more so. This team continues to be a team that is becoming one of the best a good team in Arizona, a very well respected, highly caliber team. This is their first game of the season, and they're coming in here on the road to play Helix. So I'm worried that this team might be a little bit better than Helix here. Now, Helix did have Jordan Lindley. He had 96 yards rushing. They'll need to protect the football here and avoid turnovers for sure. Castile here, a pretty good program. That was in 2017. They beat Monte Vista. So, do you think Helix can win, Dave?
I think if Norman Lester can have even half of the night he did last week, and they can keep from turning the ball over, I think they have a chance. But if they start turning the ball over early, I think a team like this, similar probably to the Perry team that will be coming in to play Granite Hills, and we saw what they could do from the same area, I'm sure. But this Castile team, I think, will capitalize on any mistakes. So I think if Helix plays mistake-free football, I think they have a shot. But I'm still going to have to go with Castile, and I'm going to say Castile 24-17.
All right, I agree with you, Dave. I'm going to go with Castile here by a touchdown. They look to be maybe even better than their last edition here. So, in fact, you and I have it closer than the other rating sites here right now that have Castile by 2 or 3 scores, actually. So, I think it'll be closer than that. I think Helix has a chance to win for sure. If they go back to being Helix, does it just happen tomorrow? I don't know. Will Helix ever be, I don't want to say ever be like Helix. They're always going to be there. We're already talking about them here as a top 10, 15 team. They were just a touchdown away from probably being in the top 10 this week. But this is the type of game that they have to, that I want to see them win, and show, because I feel like they're a bit of an underdog here at home. And that doesn't happen very often. But
Sure.
with the slip that I think Helix has seen here, with a down year last year, had me worried. So hopefully we can win this one and keep up there with the Matadors and the Eagles. But I'm going to take Castile here, and hopefully Helix pulls off this upset.
Well,
Right.
and I think the biggest thing out of this one, too, is you want to get out of this game without any injuries, especially at the quarterback position, because that's something that Helix can ill afford to lose, especially what happened last year. We don't need that to happen, or it's going to kill the whole season. So I'm pulling for Helix, but that Castile team definitely is going to take this one.
Okay, Dave, you mentioned it. This is a great rivalry between Madison and Steel Canyon. These two are playing an annual series right now for sure, year after year. I don't think there's any question. These two feel comfortable with one another, just playing a home and home each year. You mentioned last year's game, won by Madison at home, 35-21. The year before that, Madison won at Steel Canyon, 33-7. As that was a down year a little bit for Steel. They went 5-6. The year before that, Madison won 35-7. So dare I say, right now the losing streak to Madison is at 4 games. They also lost in 2021, 22-21. So a little bit of a losing streak here for Steel against Madison, but man, I wish I knew a little bit more about Steel Canyon. I feel like they are a little bit better than Madison right now, or at least at home. Maybe they can ride the home field advantage a little bit. I have Madison, though, here ranked, Dave, number 12 currently in our rankings. So, in fact, I should mark that there. I think I have Madison ranked here right now, but I don't mind Steele's chances here.
Well, what are the Max Preps probably have them ranked at
let me check that.
at 18 or 19?
I'll look at that here. I'm going to put my ranking up there. I have Madison right now. Number 12, I think, is where I have them. And let me bring that back up here. Sorry about that. Yeah, Max Preps has them at number 15, so I actually have them higher.
Well, that was what I was looking for. Is I knew yours is closer to who they actually are. It almost just seems like they're shooting in the dark. But hey, I didn't make that decision, so
Okay. Oh,
We
no,
just
you know
have
what? Let me see here. No, I'm sorry, dude. That was my preseason rank. Man, I'm screwing this show up. I have Madison unranked here right now after that. They had a season opening loss. So right now it is Madison is number 15 in the Max Preps ratings. I actually have them out of my top 25. I have Madison currently at number 36, and I have Steel Canyon at number 27. So sorry about that.
So really, it tells me that you got a lot of faith in Gavin Kaha going out there, and as long as he's got the protection back there, he's got a heck of an arm, and he throws lasers, and he's got a good pair of eyes and can see well down the field. So if he gets the time and he steps up well in the pocket, uh, hey, Steel Canyon could win this game. I'm gonna say it's a toss up because Madison. I think they're two very similar teams in their type of play, type of coaching, uh, and I think unfortunately though, since it is at Madison, I'm gonna
Oh,
say
yeah.
I'm gonna have to say
Steel. It's
because
that Steel, Dave. Yep.
it's at Steel.
Yep.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to say the Steel breaks that 4-game losing streak, and I'm going to pick the Cougars by 2.
I'm going to take the Cougars as well in this one. I've got them about in the maybe 21 to 17 range. Maybe it'll be a little bit closer. I will say this. The other ratings services do have Madison winning this game by upwards of 2 touchdowns. So I'm not buying it. I think Steel Canyon's got a pretty good team. I got them to break this losing streak against Madison. Not only did those players we talked about, but other guys had a big game as well, including Noah Ramirez and Lucas Rowe there for Steel Canyon. I hope I got that right. Again, I'm having trouble, just getting any information, unfortunately, from the Cougars. So we'd like to cover them more, but we just don't have a lot of information on the Cougars. But I'll still take them. Maybe we can get to know them a little bit that way. I'll take the Cougars over Madison. Okay, that's pretty much the look there, I believe, with the Hills League teams. Let's go over to the Valley League teams right now. And we talked about Grossmont, so we'll get your prediction on this one, Dave. Say take on a good Westview program here. But Grossmont looked pretty awesome in that game last week. You mentioned Tyler Holmes. He was unstoppable last week. How about Randy Ballard? He had a big performance as well for Grossmont. You mentioned Ryder Robinson. The Grossmont stats officially came out, and he had 3 sacks, according to whoever's, I don't know, was it Coach Lawrence? Was it Tony Lawrence? Whoever's checking the film. Ryder would like to have a talk with you.
Yeah, because Ryder was saying he could have sworn that he had 4 to 4.5, and the half being when Colton Burke, as I'll mention it again, because I called it. I said you should go in there and get a scoop and score. And sure enough, Ryder got in there and gave him a good nail to the chest, I think it was, and Colton Burke was right there to rip it away from him and go in for the touchdown. So I'm sure they both felt great about that one. Ryder had great things to say too about his quarterback, and that he was very impressed with the way that Tyler Holmes was running the ball. Really, I mean, he 143 yards on the ground. And they were saying he might be sticking around in the pocket. So, you know what? If he can throw that rock, I think that's going to be the difference in this game. And I think Grossmont's a lot better than they're saying. I'll just say they're saying. There's just too many stars. There's too many stars. Just because you lose a prolific passer like Tommy was last year. I mean, he was breaking records and they were scoring points like crazy. But I'll tell you what, I think that they're going to compete, and they are going to be, when it's all said and done, they're going to be in the top 2 in the Valley, pending injury or, we'll find out. I mean, this could be a good measuring stick this week.
Did you get a chance to see that play, Dave?
I did.
We're right here, right now. Let's take a look at it. Let's look at this play last week from Ryder.
And there goes Colton. See ya.
How about it?
I'm telling you, don't count those Hillers out. Don't count them out. And I mean, they do have to go on the road, but I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue.
Yeah, I
Also
got it
seeing
at
here,
home,
also
actually.
seeing here, Randy Ballard caught 12 passes for
Jeez.
91 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Ryder, let's just break it in half and call it. He had 3.5 sacks, and I think that because of that defense, if they can play that well, as I think that's going to be the key to putting the rush off of those edges against Westview. And I'm going to say the Hillers win on the road by 10.
Okay, I'm going to go. They're at home actually in this one, taking on Westview. So I'm going to take them to win here. I'm going to take it maybe Grossmont by a touchdown here in this one, maybe in the 31-24 range or so, maybe 35-28, something around there. So I'm going to take the Hillers as well.
Well,
All
the
right.
Hillers they're just an offensive juggernaut ever since Lawrence took over.
Well, apparently we're supposed to think
I know, I know where you're going.
Santana is going to take on Crawford. Santana, impressive in their first game of the season with a shutout over Canyon Hills. So great job, Sultans, getting that win. Ethan Miller, 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Denton Gore, 88 yards receiving. How about defensive lineman Jordan Galisi? He leads the county with 3.5 sacks. Well, Ryder would like to have a talk with that, but Jordan Galisi had a big game as well. The Sultans here take on Crawford. Crawford, usually pretty good program. They're probably still pretty good. They are at home in this game against Santana. I think that will kind of make the game even closer here. Crawford's been a perennial, pretty strong team here right now. They're going to be ranked below Santana, I think, in this game. Crawford opened the season with that loss to our Monte Vista Monarchs, 36-13. So I can see where your head's going here on this one, Dave. You got a pretty comparable opponent. Monte Vista just drubbed Santana. I don't know if we're putting Monte Vista ahead of Santana, equal to Santana, whatever. They're in the same league and they're both, right equal with one another right now. So and that was also can Monte Vista won it by 23 points. Can Santana win by 23 points? This one's on the road. Monte Vista was at home last week.
Well, and if you remember earlier on, when we had a couple of the Sultans on, if you recall, there was still up until game time. They were saying it was going to be a game time decision who was going to be the starting quarterback. That's how close it was, and it looks like just like last year, Ethan Miller got the nod, and he definitely he earned it with 203 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and Gore with 88 yards through the air. So it also Jordan Gillespie, 3.5 sacks for Santana, and remember talking to him as well. So I think the Sultans are on a roll again, just like they were out of the gate last year. I think they're going to be in the mix as well. Whether they're 1, 2, or 3, I think that they're going to be on the tail of Grossmont and Monte Vista. But with that being said, I saw Ethan Miller at the closer to the end of the year, and he played quite a few games, and he got beat up a little bit. I think the offensive line is a little stronger this year, and if they can keep him upright, I think that's going to be the key, because I saw him getting beat up pretty good last year a couple of times and had to come out, and they don't have that fantastic running back that they had before losing him to graduation. But I'm going to say Santana handles Crawford easily. and I'm going to call it 35-21.
All right, I'm going to take Santana as well. I think it'll be much closer. Maybe Santana can. Most of the rating sites have Santana by a touchdown or more. I think it's going to be Santana by a touchdown or less. That's what I'll say. I'll say Santana wins. Maybe they'll win it by a couple of points. Maybe they'll win it by a touchdown. I think they can prevail on the road, but this Crawford team has been well coached for several years. They've always been a little bit undermanned, understaffed, if you will, with personnel. And we know Santana has a pretty deep team, so that'll probably help here. I'm going to go ahead and take Santana as well.
Just remember, too, we have Santana. Remember, they got one of the better kickers in the league, too. So if it comes down to needing 3 to win.
For sure. Let's get into the next one here. Mira Mesa is going to be taking on Valhalla, and it's at Valhalla. Now, Mira Mesa is a pretty good team, but we say, hey, they just lost to, they just beat, El Capitan 11-0. We mentioned it last week. So Valhalla coming off that 52-point performance last week, Dave. Could that spur the Norsemen here to a little bit of an upset? I say upset. I let you, make the determination, even though, both teams are 1-0. Great job, Valhalla. Most of the rating sites have this one kind of a blowout, Dave, maybe even upwards of 4 or 5 touchdowns. I will say this, John Mappy's column today, he had it just 20-14, Mira Mesa. Has Valhalla come that far?
I think Orange Nation is definitely on the rise. And I think Jackson Newman and Sacco are the key to this Valhalla team. And I think they got plenty of others as well. And I think that I'm going to have to agree with Mappy on this one because I'm going to say 21-14. And that is going to be Mira Mesa. I think from what they did to El Cap and shutting them out, I don't think they're going to shut out the Norsemen. I think Jackson, whether it's his legs or it's his arm, he's going to get into that end zone at least 2 times. So let's call it, though, 21-14, Mira Mesa.
Okay, you know what? Maybe the offense won't be as strong for Mira Mesa. We saw El Cap do a great job defensively on him. We know El Cap's going to be better than Valhalla this season. I think Mira Mesa will win it here, maybe by a couple of touchdowns. I'll just say by a couple of touchdowns here. But I tell you what, if Valhalla stays within a touchdown in this game, I think that will be a positive for Valhalla. A good sign that maybe they can be even more competitive than I gave them credit for here entering this. And look, I think they'll be improved. I thought they would be improved because that's what we've seen from Cherry. So I'll go ahead and take Mira Mesa here. Mm-hmm.
How big is that if the Norsemen win the game? How big is that? That's going to propel them, and they're going to be a real question mark in the Valley. They pick up a big win like that against Mira Mesa.
I think for sure. I think that'd be huge if Valhalla could come up with a victory here against Mira Mesa at home. Okay, next up. Kearney and Monta Vista. Boy, it sounds like a good game in maybe a couple years past, but the way Monta Vista is going right now, watch out, Comets. This one could be a one-sided game here for the Monarchs, I think, Dave.
It's been a rivalry. It seems like they've been playing them for several years now, but I'm sorry to say for you Comets, I think you're going to be packing your bags early because I think Coach Culver, that defense and that offense, that's not just running the ball, but they're throwing the ball well. With Derek Taylor throwing to Florence, I think there's going to be a lot more of that, and some who knows, there might even be some trick plays in there. But I think Culver's doing a heck of a job, and I think that defense, I think they win the turnover battle. And I think they actually get the Comets to turn the ball over 3 times and score off of those turnovers. So I'm looking at Monta Vista with the blowout over Kearney, 35-7.
Dave, in 2022, Kearney won 35-21. In 2023, Kearney won 22-20. Last year, Monta Vista's championship season, Kearney won 41-35. Remember, it was the second game of the season, and it was one of the best games of the season, but Kearney won it. So they've got a 3-game losing streak to Kearney. I got Monta Vista by at least 2 or 3 touchdowns, if not more. All the rating sites have them by 3 or 4 touchdowns. I'm going to be a little more conservative, but I think our Monarchs rock Kearney finally and end that losing streak to the Comets.
And let me add
Maroon team.
And let me add this. I do recall, too, Santana playing Kearney last year, and Santana putting a hurting on the Comets last year. So just something else to throw into the mix. But Monta Vista is going to put them to sleep.
And again, I just want to say one more time to shout out to we don't have the defensive the players of the week anymore, Dave. I guess I think we're just too busy. But I'm going to nominate. I know that Ryder had the sacks. I know we had Gillespie have the sacks, but I'm going to go with Deshaun Jenkins. 2 pick sixes last week. I'm going to vote for him as our.
I'm going to have to agree. When you're getting a pair in that secondary, those guys work hard back there.
And Deion Hunter, 92 yards rushing in that one. We've got Monta Vista to roll. All right, Dave, this one's tough now. Here's a tough one maybe. You got Montgomery coming in here taking on El Cap. El Cap could not score last week in that 11-0 loss. Now, they should be better than Montgomery, but Montgomery, they're just a hard-trying program, and any team at their level usually is Montgomery can beat them. Now, it's always going to be a step up for them, I think, to play El Capitan. But when you have coming off a shutout, you're going to have, when your team's coming off getting shut out, you're going to have some question marks. Bryce Benegas did a great job defensively last week with 9 tackles for El Capitan to kind of pace the defense. They only gave up 3 points in the first 3 quarters. They just couldn't get over the hump. They also made a couple mistakes. El Capitan has been so good over so many years, but I would say the last couple of years, I don't know if maybe, coach can call me out, either the coach, any of the, but I'd say the discipline has slipped just a little bit with the Vaqueros. I've seen too many mistakes being made at crucial times. Can they overcome that here against the Aztecs?
I think they can, and that's what I said before we even went on the air. I said that the defense, I think, is intact, and I think Coach Sean McDade has got them ready on the defensive side. And honestly, I think if they are going to beat Montgomery, it's going to be on the defensive side. I'm just hoping that that offense can put it together and just tweak it a little bit. I don't know, maybe let's run the rock a little bit, see what we can do, get some yardage, and then so we can possibly open up that passing game. And we got to hold on to the ball. We can't drop balls that are right to us. We can't fumble the ball away. We got to be, especially against a team like the Aztecs, and then end up with our defense on the field too long. So defense doesn't stay on the field too long. We score. El Cap scores a couple of touchdowns on offense. I think they can even get a couple on defense. But I'm going to say this one's going to be a nail biter, and I'm going to say it's going to be 22 for Montgomery, El Cap 20.
Oh, okay, man. I'm going to go with the Vaqueros here, and I can't believe we're going. I'm on the East County team, and you're not. That rarely happens. But Maffey did say 17-13 El Cap. Now, that controversial rating site, I'll go ahead and recite some of their scores because I know that people aren't going to fork over the $15 for a bunch of dumb high school ratings, but I will because I'll be your huckleberry. They've got El Capitan 14-13. I've got El Capitan winning this one probably by at least, I feel like I'd buy a touchdown is what I'm going to go with. Maybe it'll be a little bit closer. Could be another defensive game, actually. Maybe it will be in the 14-10 range or something like that. But I'm going to take El Capitan here. Look, For El Cap last week, Dominic Meganson had an interception for the Vaqueros. Spencer Chastain recovered a fumble, and he also had 4 receptions for 58 yards and a couple familiar names. We mentioned Bryce Benegas, 9 tackles. Also, Bruin Ford, who had a great year last year, 6 solo tackles and a sack in the loss to Mira Mesa. But we're split on this one, but I'll go with El Cap. And Dave says he thinks the Aztecs might earn it. And like I said, it was last week, same thing, Dave. The game was scoreless until late in the first half when Mira Mesa converted a turnover into those first 3 points, or it was third quarter, whatever it was. It was a turnover, I think, that allowed that to happen. Okay, next up. Your West Hills Wolfpack, my West Hills Wolfpack, they're taking on a real good University City team. And right now, look, it says 16th in my ratings here, Dave. University City's had a couple of great seasons in a row. Their superstar did leave. I believe they said he went to be closer. I think he's going to college. He was either Oklahoma or whatever it is. He's going to play his senior season closer to his university. I think they said he's going to the Sooners. I don't want to be wrong about that. Nonetheless, University City's been very, very strong for the last couple of seasons. And West Hills, we know that they have the defense. It's just that if they match up with a team with a bit of offense like University City might have, it could be a real tough one. Max Preps has the University at 17. I've got him at 16. What do you think in this one, Dave?
Well, I mean, we're looking at what one of the highlights of last week's game was another Dill, as we talked about it in our early our previews of how many Dills have been over at West Hills. But Evan Dill was 13 for 16. I mean, you can't get more efficient than that. I mean, for that many throws behind center. But then you got University City. I mean, I've looked on paper; they have plenty of weapons, and looks like a couple of more than the Wolfpack have. So it's really going to be up to it's a tall order, but it's going to be up to the Wolfpack defense to, I think, make them a little uncomfortable, to get off the edge real quick, get off their blocks, and make him throw the ball before he wants to throw the ball. And I think that's going to be the key to staying in this game. But unfortunately, this one, I wish they would have won last week, because that was more of a winnable game than this one. I'm going to take University City by 3 touchdowns.
University City should win this one, Dave. They've got all underclassmen receivers, made 23 receptions last week. They passed for over 300 yards last week in their win. West Hills lost to Holtville 44-19 at home. So that was disappointing, because you'd think that, at least given the level, right, that they would compete with Holtville. They moved the ball effectively at times, but Holtville ran all over West Hills. You don't see that very often. Holtville had a running back go for 230 yards on 24 carries and 4 touchdowns. So you mentioned Dill's passing. He also rushed 9 times, and he had a touchdown in the game. Andrew Rossolino is supposed to be a key player for West Hills, and he was. He had 86 yards of total offense, including a 53-yard touchdown run. And Jacob Romeo, who we had on the show, the senior, he had 3 catches, including a touchdown. He also had 24 yards rushing for 52 yards of total offense. But I've got University City winning this one pretty big. Mappy had it 42-14. I've got him by probably 3 touchdowns. The HS rating site has it 56-7, and another rating site has it 42-6. So West Hills are going to try to eat the ball, though. That's what they'll try to do, and try to keep it as respectable as possible. If West Hills does that, right, that's the thing. If you keep it, a team at least defensively, keep them out. Even if they score 1 or 2 touchdowns, if you keep it close, you do have a chance. But University City is a pretty good team this year. So
I think that they need to really I just don't see him playing man defense, and I think that they need to tighten up that defense. And they have got, if they have to stack the box a couple of times. Maybe that's what they need to do, but they have got to stop that run, or that's exactly what the game plan is going to be. Let's just go run over this defense.
Okay, a couple more here, and then we'll get to Saturday night's game with the Christian Patriots and Bishops in a hot matchup. But just want to touch on these real quick. Maybe we can make a prediction, but we're not really hearing from Mountain Empire this year. Too bad. They won last week, Dave, 28-25 over Hamilton of Anza. So great job, man. Didn't see this one coming. So maybe Mountain Empire's got something working out there this year, but they are going to take on the Calipatria Hornets here. So that's going to be, it sounds to be like a tough game. But interestingly, the ratings here actually have them quite close. And given the home field advantage, Mountain Empire could actually win this game if you go by the Max Preps ratings. But I don't know. I think of Calipatria, and I think that they will be. But maybe Mountain Empire, we'll see. This will be a test for them. I just wish I knew a little bit more about the team coming in. They did win in that game last week against Hamilton of Anza. It was 28-25. Mountain Empire got that victory, but we didn't really hear much from them as far as the stats are concerned. So
I wish I had. If I can get a hold of Coach Van, maybe he has the information on the new coaching staff, and we can get a little more information, because Coach Van, he was all over it. We had Mountain Empire for at least a good 6-7 years, giving us information. But I agree. I think Calipatria's for this one. I think they're going to beat Mountain Empire 14-7. I think it might be close since it is at home, and they did get the win last week. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt. 14-7 Calipatria.
All right. Well, you say we've covered them since you and I have been taking over since your dad left us, and but I think of the times we used to have covering Mountain Empire for over almost 35 to 40 years. Remember, before the days of the internet, Dave, Mountain Empire, the way we reported the news was report on their games in the Daily Californian, and then we'd take one of our sports writers, and they'd have to drive halfway out to Pine Valley, and then a representative from Mountain Empire would drive halfway out from Pine Valley, and they'd meet in the middle, and they'd give them 2 bushels full of pay. I don't know, maybe you did that once or twice, and you'd give them the papers, and that's how we reported on Mountain Empire. They'd call it in, we'd type up the stories, print the papers at midnight. You remember running the presses, and then we'd run them out there, and that's how they reported on Mountain Empire football. And now we can't even get it done with the age of the internet. But I'm going to go ahead and take Calipatria here by a touchdown. The ratings projections have Calipatria by more than that, maybe by more than 3 or 4 or 5 touchdowns, which may be accurate. But right now, I'm going to trust that maybe Mountain Empire had something going after last week's game. They beat Hamilton. Okay. Interestingly enough, we don't have a lot on this one either, but I just want to mention that Hamilton is playing the right back, playing one of our teams. They are actually coming to La Mesa and taking on Foothills Christian at Sayal Field, 1-0. But Foothills Christian lost in their opener, Dave, to Escondido Charter. They actually got clubbed in this game. Now, here's another problem where the Max Prep, I'm sorry I'm mentioning this. It's a little bit embarrassing to say it like this, but Foothills Christian is ranked very, very respectably. And I don't want to downplay them because they were the perennial 8-man champions for years. If they didn't win it, they lost the championship game. They're one of the greatest 8-man programs in the history of the county. But now they're back in 11-man football for the first time in 5 years. The Max Preps rankings have them about, in the 45th or something like that. Maybe they went down after 1 week. They're probably not even close to that. Foothills Christian might be one of the bottom teams in the county right now. Just, they haven't been playing 11 minutes. Escondido Charter is okay, but I don't know. Do you have anything here in this one? I don't want to.
I don't. And that makes you wonder: are they going to go back to 8-man after if they have just a horrendous season this year?
I think that's maybe 2 years. I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, I don't have anything really for you on this one. I'll have to do some investigation. I'll probably get more out of Mountain Empire than out of these guys. But at any rate, it sounds to me like Hamilton's going to roll over Foothills Christian by at least 3 touchdowns, maybe more.
I'll take Hamilton here as well. I'll go with them by maybe a touchdown, maybe by 10 points here. For Foothills Christian, they scored their only touchdown on a gadget play last week when junior Jonah Nautilus threw a 75-yard touchdown pass to senior Mason Wilborn. Jack Sudi had 76 yards rushing on 18 carries, and Travis Janik had 2 receptions for 48 yards for Foothills Christian. Okay, Dave, the good one here between Christian and Bishops, that long-standing rivalry wraps it up on Saturday night. Christian, what a performance in that first game of the season. Totally stoked for their chances here now. But they're playing their old buddies, the Bishops Knights. Maybe it's not the same rivalry with the coaching staff, a little bit different here, but does feel like when you get these two teams together, especially on a Saturday night in La Jolla, should be an awesome game. Christian was absolutely terrific in their opener. They went up there and came away with that win against Rancho Mirage in that season opener. We mentioned some of the highlights there already. You mentioned Hank Houston with the big performance as well. So what do you think here, Dave, for Christian and Bishops? Bishops, I have them ranked 17th, Dave, and right now I do have Christian a little bit below that, not quite in my top 25 yet. I know you'd probably give me the business there. You probably have them ranked in there for sure and give them a big chance here against Bishops. I give them a big chance too. It's just that we're on the road and Bishops plays pretty well at home, or at La Jolla High.
Well, there's just something, I think there's like a certain magic that these Patriots have, and I think it's just this is one of those teams that really knows what teamwork is about and working as a team, and it's almost like they're a well-oiled machine, and Coach Bug does a fantastic job. I mean, they went from Beezer and Mitchell and now to Bug. I mean, they've had some of the best coaches, and let's not forget Coach Oliver. They've had some of the best coaches in history of East County football, and Caleb Runkle, ever since he came off the bench after his 5 games of sitting last year, he has just turned on the jets. He can run, he can throw across his body, he can throw off of 1 foot. I mean, the guy is just a major athlete. And Kai Rozier, 10 catches, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. And, you know, I think a lot of people are going to say that Bishop's much better and that it should be a rollover for them. But I'm going to say that there's just way too much talent on both sides of the ball, and a lot of these players are playing both sides of the ball. But I think Christian is going to really open some people's eyes. They won the division last year, and I think they're going to win this newer division this year. And I don't think anybody else is on the same page, but I'm going to say Christian beats Bishops by 10.
I'm still going to disagree with you when it comes to the prospects here this season. Now that Christian has graduated to the tougher league in the city conference, I think that it will be a little bit tougher for them this year once they get to the league schedule. That's just the way I feel. But right now, I have Bishops 17th. The Max Preps ratings have them 21st. I have Christian 29th, but the Max Preps ratings have them 24th. So they're given a little bit more respect, I think, than I. Not that I don't totally respect Christian. I do. And I think we can go in and certainly be competitive in this game. I think Runkle is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the county right now. Maybe Christian is super underrated here. I thought they looked pretty awesome there last week, but we'll see. Bishop still got a pretty good team. They did win last week over Valley Center, 41-28. Valley Center's got a pretty decent team. I have them ranked 39th currently, now at 0-1. But I'm going to go ahead and take Bishops here, only by maybe a field goal or so. Close game, and Christian could win this one down to the wire. Maybe it will come down the wire. Maybe it'll be a field goal. Maybe a last second field goal. But the difference for Bishops is they have, look, if you want to see two good quarterbacks this week and it's on Saturday night, there's only a couple of games on Saturday night. You'll go see Caleb Runkle, but you'll also see Cash Herrera of Bishops. Dave, this guy is a highly touted quarterback right now. Definitely a Division I prospect here. And he leads the Bishops Knights right now, and they've got a pretty darn good team. They've got a great junior-led receiving core with Dane Larson up there as well. So just you got to see Cash Herrera. He's definitely one of the best quarterbacks. He's got committed to Indiana right now, and he had a host of offers from many schools here, including Arizona, Cal, Iowa, Minnesota, San Diego State, UCLA. So he's the guy to watch here on Saturday night. He's an Indiana commit. We know Indiana's totally turned their fortunes around over the last couple of seasons or last year with this coaching staff that they have. So that's going to be an awesome game to wrap up the coverage here, and we'll be back tomorrow night. Dave, I think we can get together. I'm sorry I missed you last week. I know you were on the road traveling, so apologies to the teams. We wanted to get to them, but we were having some logistics, and I really didn't have as much information as I would have hoped for a first week of the season. I hope they're not forgetting about us. We want to hear from you, teams, and all of your highlights on Friday night. Make sure you get your information to us so we can cover it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had some technical issues, and the thing is we actually, as soon as I got off work, we drove up there and tried to get there as quick as possible just so I could go on time. And I plugged in on time, and then just nothing was working. I was hoping that we were gonna have our bus rolling and everything was gonna work out. But this week we're gonna have it rolled out of the garage, and we're gonna have it roll on open. And we're going to have a couple of teams, I think, that we're going to see are big winners. And we're going to go to the bus. And there's going to be some big games coming up tomorrow.
It's a huge schedule. So, all right, Dave, thanks to our sponsors here, Granite Mortgage and Lakeside Equipment, for keeping us on the air here on the East County Prep Football Report. All right, let's go out there and have some winners. I'm going to go watch the Braves game right now. Hopefully that camera's working. I don't know. We might have to piece it together. But I want to thank everyone for watching. We got up to, several dozen people watching live. And I know everybody watching our report here as we go. Hey, if you don't see enough information from your team, why not reach out to us? You can find us, believe me, here. We're easily accessible. Might have to track down the social media, but we want to hear from you. If you're not hearing from your team, we want to. We want to talk about your team. Real quick, David, I just want to tell you a few tidbits here real quick, if I can. Since we're on the East County Prep Football Report, I just want to mention right now that currently in girls flag football, a couple teams, your Granite Hills Eagles, Dave, they're out here rolling early on this season with a 3-0 record. Steel Canyon's 2-1. Grossmont's been winning here as well. Helix has been a bit of a surprise. Santana is 1-2. El Cap, they've had several wins so far. We did have some results here already this week. Yesterday, if I could give out some of these scores, it was Helix 19, Claremont 12, El Capitan 47, Canyon Hills 6, and earlier in the week it was Grossmont 31, San Ysidro 19, Santana beat Otay Ranch 33-20, and El Capitan won on Monday over Eastlake 19-7. So we're putting some stories together. Go to the website. We're covering girls flag football big time, better than anybody in this county. So make sure you check us out over at eastcountysports.com.
And we will have our photographers have been very good about sending in our flag football coverage too of those teams that you have mentioned, and if they will continue, we're gonna put them up, and they're gonna, in a year or so, they're gonna be just as big as these boys football. Oh,
for sure. Especially with the Olympics coming, girls flag football, women's flag football. Who knows, Dave? We might see one of our athletes at the Olympics actually here coming up in a year. So keep going, ladies. We love watching the flag football highlights and making the big plays out there. All right, we'll see you next tomorrow night on the post game show, Dave, with our big card. We're going to be tracking all the games we'll be on shortly after the final game. So make sure you join us then. For Dave Dickens, I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining us on the East County Prep Football Report.